Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order on November 27th, 2018, and we're going to get started with a roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Present.
Commissioner Holland?
Present.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Mayor Harless?
Present and here. Commissioner Holland, would you lead us in the invocation, please? If you'll stand with us.
I thought I'd do a Thanksgiving prayer. Just finished Thanksgiving. Dear Lord, today we give thanks for our many blessings. As we pray for those in need, we give thanks for our family and friends as we pray for those who are lonely. We give thanks for our freedom as we pray for those who are oppressed. We give thanks for our good health as we pray for those who are ill. We give thanks for our comfort and prosperity as we share our blessings with others. The peace of God dwell with all of us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join us in the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. You may be seated. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I don't think I see the orders yet.
Hold on, I got a text message.
Okay. We're going to skip the first presentation and ask Mary Hammond to come up with the Paducah Civic Beautification Board and the Annual Business Awards.
I'm back. Glad to be here with representing the Paducah Civic Beautification Board, and I was headed the committee for the Annual Business Awards. And this is tough when you start going around the city and looking at what's been going on, who's investing, who's beautifying, who's alive. And so I couldn't cut it down to our regular short list. So there was too much out there. So I went by neighborhoods that I thought there were clusters of people who are really working to make our city more beautiful. So let's start out. Let's start with downtown. And isn't it exciting to see all the businesses on Market House Square full? And I love Craving the Curls rolled ice cream. And Brecken, Hayden, and her mom and dad, Renee and Randy. Here they are up here. Start right here. Come on up. Come on up. We love this. I do need to give a shout out that this is a building that Dr. Bernard Chuck restored, but the Haydens made it come alive.
I knew I recognized you. I was like, why do I know that man? Oh, right, because he has the curled ice cream. Such fondness for you.
This will take all night if we do all that.
I know. So while they're taking a picture, I'll start moving right along. Next, their next door neighbor, McLaren Manor Fashion Boutique, and we've got Brandy McLaren here. Brandy, what a beautiful building you have, and full of beautiful boutique items.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next, we have Must Stitch Emporium on Market House Square, Josh Wall. I love the color of the quilts in the window. I mean, it just sets a whole tone there on Market House Square.
Thank you.
And there we go to Citizens Gym, Adam Moyers. After a long time of a corner that wasn't sure what its identity was, it has one now. And next, our very own mayor, Mayor Brandy Harless with Highwater Social Bar. She invests in many ways in our community with her heart, soul, and her pocketbook.
Mostly the pocketbook. Thank you, guys.
And then a family we've known for a long time, and we continue to see them invest in the community, and that's at 8th and Broadway with Cirque and Company. George and Company, come on up. I called Ben, and he said, you know, I just rent. I said, well, Ben, it's probably a little deeper than that. Who have you got with you, George?
I have two of my grandkids.
All right.
This is June.
June.
And that's Heidi.
Heidi. And who's the other little girl?
They're famous. They were in the paper.
I know.
There's a cute picture of them with the princess from Dickens of a Christmas.
So from downtown, we moved to Midtown. Edward Jones, Heath Bowling. You know, sometimes when you get into a building and it's been beautiful and it's been noted before, start right there, yes. And then years pass, and then it needs new sprucing up. And Heath did it, and it looks really good there at 13th and Broadway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And still in Midtown, which is really coming alive, Treasure Tree Boutique and Tree Climbers Children's Boutique. Catherine Thomas is here.
I just want to say I'm so glad to see this building on the list. I keep driving by and being like, we need to do something. Y'all transformed that building.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes, indeed.
Love the blue color.
Oh, the blue is
nice.
beautiful. So much better.
Next up, Catterjohn.
All right, we still, one day it'll be Catterjohn. Still in Midtown, the Ritz Midtown. Oh my goodness, have you been following along? Yes, Jim and Melody and their daughter, Jenny, who's not here, she's down in Louisiana. They've been working on this, and yet the best is still to come. But if you haven't been inside and see the changes that's going on in the historic building, let's see, what year? Who knows what year?
I don't know.
It was the year the stock market crashed.
Wow.
I think because they opened right before the crash. So they never quite took off. Okay, sorry, but they are now. Still in Midtown, Uniform Headquarters, Kimberly and Trin Davis, and that's on South 31st Street. And if you haven't been in their new building, it's worth a stop. 31st Street's becoming a busy road. Everybody will see my head in these pictures. Okay, and then we move to the West End. And do you not love seeing what's happening on 32nd Street? The dirt road, oh my goodness, taking a building, and what have you done? Heather, I know you're here.
Is she here?
I thought she was. I checked her off. Oh, I talked to her this afternoon. Okay. Well, as Brandy said, if you got a customer, you can't leave. Now, if you haven't seen these plaques, Dr. Grumley, you did sneak in. Dr. Grumley took all of these wonderful photos. He's gotten quite a reputation as a photographer these days. And, oh, yes, and they look beautiful. Okay, staying on 32nd Street, Fresh Foodies, Gourmet Catering, and Healthy Meal Prep. And this is Mindy and Hannah Carroll. And she's got some good support from her mom and dad and her sister.
Thank you very much.
Mary, I was telling Mindy, I think this little area at 32nd needs its own name. It needs its own name or
I
something.
know, it
There's so
does.
much
It
going on
does.
right on that street.
So people ask, what do they do at Fresh Foodies? Now, a lot of people get their dinner delivered in a box in the mail. Well, it doesn't have to come that way. It can get delivered, or you can swing on by and pick it up. Okay, continuing, and I don't think these folks are here. Al, Nathu, and AJ, did they make it? AJ made it, good. For Midtown Wine and Spirits. Yes,
amazing.
taking a building that wasn't looking too good for several years, and it's come alive again. We look forward to spring and seeing that area alive with flowers.
Thank you.
Thanks, AJ. And then we move out to Lone Oak Road, Macaulay Village Apartments. If you haven't been out there, I visited a friend after church one day and ended up staying and walking around because the grounds were so beautiful and the apartments are really nice. And we've got Kristen Sterling and Sandra Kelly from Macaulay. Do you know where that is, Macaulay? Behind Lourdes Hospital.
Oh.
I know, those hidden treasures. And then we'll move to the south side. And did Mod Electric make it? Robert? Okay. If you haven't seen that building, oh my gosh, what a big brick building. And every time I'd go by, I'd still look at it again. On 3rd Street. Everybody know where that is? Okay. But here's a treasure. Rose's Gas, Mike Hayden at 800 South 6th Street. You know which one we're talking about?
Yes, I
the little
drive by
gas
every day.
station? I know.
Every day to Head Start. It's so
Well,
cute.
Mike says you better stop in and see him.
Oh, it's so cute.
And he's got plenty of history on the building. I learned a lot talking to Mike.
Oh, it's so cute.
And Mike, isn't it for rent?
Yes, it is.
All right, put a plug.
Is there
You're
room?
welcome.
Very reasonable, too.
Okay.
Is there room to live in the back, or is it strictly office?
With a shower, it could be.
Okay. All right. Still towards the south side, working that way. M.W. Hair Studio, Tracy DeFreitas. Tracy moved from Kentucky, and I think she's been surprised at how much walk-in traffic has happened.
It's been awesome.
It's good. I mean, there is all kinds of hustle and bustle down there on 3rd Street.
Thank you.
And then in Lower Town, sometimes people who've been there a little while but haven't had a lot of recognition. And every time you drive by, you go, look at that. They've become an anchor here in Lower Town. And we've got Ephemera with Kristen Williams. Kristen's a partner in many of the activities that we do.
Thank you.
She finds herself being mentioned by travel writers who find their way over there, and she talks to them all and makes friends. And then we've got Dr. Scott Garrett representing Dr. Christy Garrett with Integrative Medicine of Kentucky. And I said to Dr. Garrett, "So what kind of essential oil do you have on tonight?" And I have to tell you.
Smells good.
And he said, "Valor." And I said, "We keep that in the office before board meetings." Scott, what's Valor for? It's for
That's great.
truth and
General feel good, inspirational.
inspiration, uplifting. Yeah.
We need diffuser out here, Lindsay. Roman soldiers in the later Empire times used to drench themselves in valor before they went into combat.
Oh, that's sort of Wonder Woman-ish. Okay. All right. So then we went out to the mall area, and it was really difficult because, every time you go out, you're seeing some new things come up. And it's so nice to see that there has been nice landscaping made part of the plan. And so, Mr. Sanders, if you'd like to come up, although the plaque says Cunningham Dental, Dr. Cunningham was quick to say, I just rent here. And he's appreciative, and we are, of the nice landscaping and development. And I know you've probably got some others, but we'll save that for another time. That's U.S. development. And then just across the street, we got Paducah Bank, which we've honored in the past. But then we've got a strip right there that's got Bar Company. Anybody from Bar? I talked to Mary Hunter, but I didn't see them come in. And Amanda Esbar. But that's Bar is part of that complex, as well as IMAC Regeneration Center. And we've got Carrie Carr here. Everybody know where these buildings are? Yeah. So it looks really good out that way. Thank you, Carrie. And thank all of you for your patience. And we recognize people who are investing their heart, soul, and pocketbook into our community. We're appreciative. Oops, sorry. Thanks.
Should do a round of applause.
Thank you, ladies, so much for what you do for us. Thank you.
I think I did this last year. Trish Hines is our president. I can't believe I didn't recognize her. Sorry,
I
Trish.
want something from me.
I know.
And
No,
congratulations
I harass
to
Trish
everyone.
at church when I have people to nominate.
We do have a couple of other board members here if you want to raise your hands. Dabney, took the picture. Phyllis Clymer, who has the checkbook. And Dr. Grumley, who took all the photos. So thank you all. This is fun.
Thank you all for your service. All right, if you guys will just stick around for one more special presentation, and then I will make sure I give you an out. Unless you want to stay here for the really good stuff. If we can, I saw Andrea Orr and Mary Beth Orr come in.
Yeah, they're right over here.
Do you guys mind coming to the podium, please? Thank you all for coming tonight. While they're making their way up, I want to take a moment to just recognize the hard work that this family and Mildred Orr Funeral Home put in for us to experience the wall that heals when it came to town a couple weeks ago. They are the hidden organizers behind that event. They were the ones who had the idea, the ones that said yes when the idea came calling. So I just, from all of us I know, but for me personally, thank you for stepping up. And there's one type of award that I get the honor of presenting to people. And so, Andrea, tonight I wanted to officially name you a Duchess of Paducah for the work that you have done. And I'm going to read this because I feel like it's part of the experience. And then I'll put my fake crown on your head. And then if you don't mind, if you guys would just give us a little bit of feedback from what you experienced. I know there's some good numbers there. So let me give you this first, okay?
Thank you.
All right. To all to whom these presents shall come, greeting, know ye that Andrea Orr is named a Duchess of Paducah. I hereby confer this honor with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining, in testimony whereof I have caused these letters to be made patent, and the seal of the city to be hereunto affixed, done at Paducah the 27th day of November in the year of our Lord, 2018. Congratulations, Miss Duchess.
Thank you so much. I
think I need another crown because we had a huge team that helped us, specifically 5 women in our office that worked so hard, including Mary Beth. The one thing I do want to say is that we did have the largest attendance of the year in the United States for the Wall That Heals, so I thank everybody in our community. We had, that was wonderful. We had over 23,000 people. We broke a record in the number of volunteers, which speaks so well for our community. We had over 300 volunteers, and they all showed up for training, which is very unusual. So we broke several records, but I think the most important thing is that right before we left, I got a card from a man in Princeton, and this sort of sums it up. And he was a Vietnam veteran, and he talked about what it meant to ride in the escort. And he said, I helped escort the wall to Paducah from Princeton, and it was the first time I actually felt like I had returned to the America that I'd left in 1971. And that means everything to us and to the community. And I think the biggest thing that was a help besides the city, the county, the veterans that helped us, the volunteers, the most important thing were the 23,000 people that came out and let those volunteers know that they were loved and respected. I mean, the veterans know they were loved and respected. And I saw tears from the beginning of the week turn into smiles at the end, and happy tears, because they felt like for once people understood them, loved them, and respected them. And for that, we thank the community and Western Kentucky for that, because that couldn't have been bought, that couldn't have been staged. It was just heartfelt by the community. So we thank you. We thank you all for your support.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you. Amazing. Okay, this is your opportunity. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening. All right, we're going to move into the consent agenda. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests. Does anyone have anything they need to remove tonight? No? All right, with that, I'll ask the city clerk to read the items recommended for approval.
Minutes for the November 13th, 2018 City Commission meeting. Appointment of Samuel Brooks Good to the Brooks Stadium Commission to replace Lenore Brooks Good, whose term has expired. This term shall expire December 5th, 2022. Personnel actions. A municipal order authorizing the Planning Department to apply for an online grant through the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation grant portal to request $15,000 for the fire department to purchase public education and engagement equipment. A municipal order accepting grant funds through the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security for a fiscal year 18 state Homeland Security grant in the amount of $63,500 for the purchase of bomb suits for the Paducah Police Department, and authorizing the mayor to execute the grant agreement and all documents related to same. A municipal order authorizing the application for and acceptance of a 2018 Area Development Fund Award through the Kentucky Department for Local Government for reimbursement for computer equipment for the Information Technology Department, and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents relating to same. A municipal order approving change order number 1 with Huffman Construction, LLC for a contract reduction in the amount of $25,000 for the Floodwall Pump Station number 2 rehabilitation project, and authorizing the mayor to execute the change order. A municipal order adopting an amendment to the City of Paducah, Kentucky Administrative Plan for 2018 Housing Choice Voucher Program.
All right, I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. And I did want to take a moment, since we have approved Sam to be added to the Brooks Stadium Commission. I think that is so neat. I know you serve on that commission, but I think it's so neat that we still have a member of the Brooks family able to continue representing them
Absolutely.
on the commission. That's absolutely incredible to me. And I know Lenore's passing that down to Sam. Okay, next up we have Commissioner Abraham.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, approving corrective transfer of real property and interest in real property among the City of Paducah. the Paducah McCracken County Convention Center Corporation, Jim Smith Contracting Company, LLC, Paducah Riverfront Hotel, LP, and Independence Bank with respect to the development of the Paducah Riverfront, a public project, and authorizing to execute various documents to officiate same. This ordinance summarizes as follows. The City of Paducah and the Paducah McCracken County Convention Center Corporation together own the Paducah Riverfront property, which real property is generally situated north of Paducah Floodwall between Madison and Campbell Streets, a public project. It is the intention of the city and the Convention City Center Corporation for the Convention Center Corporation to own that portion of the Paducah Riverfront property upon which the Convention Center and Expo Center is situated, and that the city would own the remainder, which remainder the city leases in part to the Paducah Riverfront Hotel LP. A recent survey of the Paducah Riverfront property uncovered certain mistakes in previous conveyances among the parties. This ordinance approves and authorizes the mayor to execute and deliver various corrective transfers and documents to cure these errors.
Second.
All right, so this is just adopting what we saw a presentation of a couple weeks ago to clean up some property lines and hopefully get our Greenway Trail phase started. Any other questions, discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. And Commissioner Holland.
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled an ordinance providing for the closing of an alley running parallel between Murray Avenue and Brown Street east of DAV Drive and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents relating to the same. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah does hereby authorize the closure of a 15-foot wide alley between Murray Avenue and Brown Street and authorizes, empowers, and directs the mayor to execute a quitclaim deed from the city to the property owners in or abutting the public ways to be closed.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? No? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. And Commissioner Rhodes.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled an ordinance repealing Chapter 66, Section 66-93, offensive, profane, or indecent language of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby repeals in its entirety Section 66-93 of the Code of Ordinances entitled offensive, profane, or indecent language.
Second.
Oh, I want to make a joke with a cuss word so
I know you
bad. I'm not going to, but I really want to.
So this is an
tempting.
example. I'm going to ask Lindsay Parrish, our city clerk, to give an update on why we're doing this in the first place. But just to kind of set the stage, we've talked about this that this body doesn't have that much authority really when it comes down to it, and there's a lot of authorities above us that often tell us what we have to do, and this is an example of that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about why we're doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. This ordinance was actually adopted back in 1967, and of course it has to do with profane language. So the Kentucky Supreme Court came out with an opinion in 2017 that basically said that government has no power to restrict expression because of its message, its ideas, subject matter, or content. And so we took a look at our ordinances and said, okay, do we have anything that is content-based regulation? And this came up, and we thought, that's worth a look at. And so our attorney agreed that this is content-based, that it's not enforceable as such, and that the best action would be to just repeal it in its entirety.
What was like the punishment when they did this in 1967? Do we know? Were there fines? Do we know how much? I'm so curious.
If there were fines, they are no longer in that section, so they would be part of the standard fines that are listed in our Code of Ordinances, which is...
I think it was something like public flogging. Something like that.
I would be in trouble. What we should have brought is like a little beep, so we could have beeped while we were talking about it around them. You know what I mean? Like that would have been good. That's what we should have done.
I just think that we should have a
And
swear
beeped
jar.
Yeah, that would work too. If we'd been enforcing it these last few years, man, we could have filled our coffers.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't enforce it.
Alas,
so.
unconstitutional.
Yeah, unless.
That's great.
Hilarious.
All right. Thanks for Lindsay for bringing this to our attention.
About it.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments? Questions? All right. Let's move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a few things. First, just to let the commission know that we're still working through the budget process for the pension crisis that we're facing these next few fiscal years. We do have a deadline coming up in a couple weeks for all the departments to bring back a proposal to the city manager's office, as well as 3 outstanding committees that are working towards this endeavor. Second thing is we're moving forward with the police chief recruitment process. We do have interviews scheduled tomorrow for our internal applicant, and then the following day as well, so Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And we hope to bring the applicant to this body at our next commission meeting, our first one in December. Also want to let the commission know that we're still making progress on the organizational values, the value statements, and the mission statement. And I did send out a email to this body here, probably about last week sometime, for just some insights from you. If you guys would share that with me, I'd appreciate that. We're still working through those. We're going to bring those to the middle management team, use them as like a focus group, and we're also kind of bouncing it off of some of our community partners as well to get their feedback on those. And then the strategic plan, update will go out here soon, beginning of next month. You'll see that come by the 10th of next month for what we've been doing this month. And then just to bring the body up to speed on the stormwater utility rate. Basically, we were hoping to come back with those range tonight, but after internal conversations at the staff level, we determined we weren't ready for that yet. We wanted to crunch those numbers a little bit more to make sure when we do bring that range, it's basically going to be where we need to be to move forward, be successful with that project. So we had a lot of internal conversations and also had some conversations with our consultants. We hope to bring that back here maybe in a few weeks or maybe even after the first of the year. Any questions for me?
No? All right. Thank you very much. Any comments from the commission?
I had a conversation regarding the pension. That seems to be a topic of conversation around a lot of water coolers, and this individual was wondering how, when we bid projects out, and I told him, well, by statute, we have to do, once it reaches a certain amount of money, we have to bid it out. And they were like, well, how do we ever do, what can we do in-house sometimes to offset some of the expense? And I assured them that whenever that is possible, we do that moving forward, just to let them know that that type of thinking is front and center as we move through this process. Where we can save money, we want to do that. Sometimes we're restricted by what we can do in that area, but absolutely. So just wanted to share that with you all.
Yeah.
I wanted to share something that happened today that was a very special announcement for our community, and that was an announcement from the Office of Entrepreneurship from the Cabinet for Economic Development. They launched a new program called RISE, and it was their approach towards the Innovation Network that used to be ran by the Cabinet. And they actually awarded a regional award to Murray State University today for around $468,000. That's all matched 1-to-1, so about $1 million is being invested in entrepreneurship in our region. It included partnering with Paducah, Madisonville, Henderson, and Hopkinsville. And at the conference today, press conference today, we had all representatives from all those communities. So it was really neat to see the regionalism effort. And actually, locally, Sprocket was the organization that is going to be awarded the Paducah funds to help. So I just want to commend this group for giving Sprocket the funds that we gave them this year. I went to as a match to that grant, so it made it very competitive for them to get those funds. And I know that they will be hiring a director to lead the entrepreneurship efforts there, and then also I don't know what they're going to call it, but it's basically the makerspace coordinator, full-time. So if you don't know this, they've been kind of piecing all that together with volunteers over the last year and a half, and a little bit of Monica Belak's time. But now they're actually going to be able to put a full court press effort into this. So I think it's a really exciting time for our community, and I'm proud that we all were a part of that here at the commission. So thank you all. All right, I'm going to move it. Anyone else have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to commend the team at the city on Dickens of a Christmas. It was really, really well attended. It was beautiful weather. Everything looked lovely. Katie was out there like directing traffic, which I'm pretty sure is not in her job description, but I was very impressed. It is now. So I just thought it was a really, really, really great. It's so wonderful to see that event grow every single year and more people enjoying downtown Paducah. And I just thought it went really, really well.
Ditto.
It was great.
It was good. All right. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. I got 3 here. I've got, well, I've never seen these names before. I'm kidding. Hey, guys. I am going to limit our comments to 3 minutes again tonight. And who wants to go first? Okay. John is up.
John Suttles. This letter was hard to write. And it's got humorous parts in it, so, you know. But for several years, the Sons of Confederate Veterans have attended parades in several counties. For 5 years, we was in the Veterans Day Parade in Paducah, and even on the front page of the Paducah Sun. Then suddenly, wham! We've been banned from flying the soldier's flag, the Confederate flag, battle flag that honors our Confederate soldiers. Even with the 1958 Act declaring Confederate soldiers as U.S. veterans, and also state of Kentucky law passed in 1912 giving Confederate veterans the same right as Union veterans, the City Commission behind closed doors have violated our rights. Why? Was it because of political gain? Or was it bigotry? One part of our definition for bigotry is narrow-mindedness, bias and discrimination, stubborn and complete intolerance of any creed, belief, or opinion that differs from one's own. Paducah claims to be diversified but shows bigotry. Why? Sadly, even one of our city commissioners stated that their ancestor was a Confederate soldier but didn't know what kind of person he was. I believe he was an honorable man and proudly honor him as all soldiers should be honored. Last year, a veteran pulling a float was forced to remove his Confederate dice from the rearview mirror. Why? This year, the SCV covered our flags to participate in the float, in the parade, and then were forced to cover the emblem of our national organization. Why? One Vietnam veteran was forced to cover his state flag, a flag of the United States, while being pushed in a wheelchair through the parade. Why? My youngest daughter was in flags in high school, and my granddaughter is now in flags. I understand that both high schools were not allowed to use their flag routine. My kids would have been very disappointed, and I, as a parent, would have been very upset. Why? Of course, let's not forget the police presence at the Sons of Confederate Veterans float. Can a person be arrested for disregarding the resolution? What will next year bring? Perhaps the SWAT team. Just joking. I respect Paducah Police Force as I'm also a 1995 Police Academy graduate. But it is sad to see them being used this way. Let us not forget once again that Paducah preaches diversity but practices bigotry. Why? Thank you.
Thank you, John. All right, I've got Michael Swinford and Randy Beeler. Who wants to go next?
Hey, guys. Okay. I want to apologize quickly to Mayor Harmon and Ms. Wilson. That was a spontaneous act at the parade. I meant you no disrespect. You know what I'm talking about? No. And I don't have to apologize.
Thank you for apologizing anyway. I appreciate that.
Well, put it in your pocket. You're probably going to need it. During World War II, it soon became apparent one of the goals of the Nazi regime was the elimination of the Jewish population. They used tactics such as gas to eliminate the Jewish people, and if they chose not to kill the people, they stripped the person of their dignity and self-worth and pride in their heritage. They searched every nook and cranny trying to find something to hang on someone. If the Nazis found a flag and insignia, they would be afraid at some point the Jewish people would unfurl their banners, which celebrated their heritage. The very same thing happened in the Paducah Veterans Day Parade. The soon retiring chief of police, who is a fine man, made the search of our float, finding 2 small insignia, and made us cover them up. We had a painted figure on deck, which he felt might offend 1 or 2 people. We were made to disassemble it and lay it flat. I am surprised they didn't check the candy for fear it may have some racial connotations. The chief of police, the Parks and Recreation Department, and various others were looking for an excuse to remove us from the parade. We are veterans. We are honorable people and do much to help this community. I cannot help who my ancestors were no more than you. We have groveled for a year and a half for permission to enter our float in the parade. Socialism and progressivism, liberalism will end in some form of Nazism. We were not allowed as veterans to exercise our First Amendment right on Veterans Day. I fought for all freedom of speech, even if I may not agree with someone else's idea. We, the people, are slowly being silenced in our freedom, whether it is speech or assembly, etc. Over 80% of the other units were in violation of the cursed resolution. You do have a choice. You can resist the socialism, or you can go in a corner of your float and curl into the fetal position and whimper like a baby while your rats drown himself in a bucket of blood and tears. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swinford. All right, Randy Beeler.
I'll try not to keep y'all here very long.
I got 3 minutes, bud.
I'm going to be as fast as I can. Miss Harris, we followed your advice. We put our uniforms on. We took our float to the parade. We participated in the parade. We was at the, when the people talked before the parade, walking back, we saw 2 police officers go to the corner. We got to our flag, our parade, our float, and looked up, and here come Mr. Barnhill and a employee of the Paducah Parks. Mr. Barnhill, being a friend since we've been coming in here, asked me to remove the placards we had on the side of our float. The resolution says nothing about placards. Nonetheless, he said it was because it had a emblem of the St. Andrew's cross on it. We politely covered it up. We gave nobody no trouble. We covered our flags. We went through the parade. People saluted, clapped. Nobody said anything bad to us. We handed out over $100 worth of candy, the one thing the children really are interested in. The children, they were protecting. They parked all the buses over at General Lloyd Tillman House, which we wish they'd go through and get a little education. But the thing that bothers me the most is I watched the City Commission meeting that Tuesday night. We chose not to come. Mr. Abraham brought up something we weren't aware of. They took the flags down from the children. Mr. Arndt, you said that the reason that was, and correct me if I'm wrong, was discrimination, to avoid discrimination. Mm-hmm. Now, not being ugly, not starting an argument, but I know Miss Wilson was at the parade. I know you were at the parade, and we saw Miss Harless at the parade. I'm not sure which parade you guys watched. I've watched it a ton of times, over and over and over. Within a minute, 2 minutes, there's probably 40 POWMIA flags. It's not covered in the resolution. The Radisson flags, the red with the black snakes, the yellow with the black snakes, not covered. City of Paducah, not covered. State of Kentucky, not covered. Legion, brigades, divisions, not covered. Placards identifying their floats like we had, not covered. I wish somebody'd give me a definition of discrimination because, sir, that is discrimination. Then I heard y'all talk about rewriting the resolution. Well, this would be the 3rd time that's been rewritten. You've opened a can of worms. Yes, I got it right over there. It started out with the soldiers. You had to represent the soldiers or the military. Then it went to the flags, the U.S. flags and the Six Flags, which you pointed out, and it's okay, we understood. But none of the flags I just mentioned are involved in the Six Flags of the military. None of them are U.S. flags. This is just simply a fact. The only people that complied with the resolution was us, McCracken County High School, Paducah Tillman High School, and then somebody said, well, we'll rewrite it. We'll add to protect the schools. I think you hit it right, Mr. Abraham. We never intended to see any children hurt in any way. My children both played softball for Reedland. They were state championship teams. That's like sending them out in the field without a glove. You know, these kids practice hard with that stuff, and just swinging that pole in the air doesn't cut it. You've all seen it. You've went to college. You're smart people.
That is your time. Just so you know, that's 3 minutes.
Well, can I finish? Take me about a minute. Listen, I deserve that. I've been coming here for a year and a half.
That's because, and that's.
I understand.
I've given you way more.
And I understand.
Than 3 minutes.
Well,
maybe.
actually, I would like to go back in that room sometime with you guys and sit and discuss this. Rescind the resolution. It's the only answer. It's the only thing that's going to cure this. You can write it all you want to, but the resolution needs to be rescinded.
Okay.
And then we can start from scratch. We would love to start from scratch. 2019 is coming up. We would love to sit down and have this conversation for more than 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way,
Randy, your time is up. Your time is up.
we won a trophy in Mayfield for first place. 100 floats in with the battle flag.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.